Hello painters, it's Debbie from acrylicpouring.com, back for a crazy painting experiment today. Except we're not going to be doing any painting. What I want to do is the Lazy Girl's Guide to cleaning your paintings. So you know when you use silicone oil or anything in your paintings, you need to clean that oil off the surface before you apply your varnish. And that's fine, I do that all the time, except this one time when I was in a rush, I made a crazy mistake. I took a couple of paintings outside and I sprayed them with varnish because I was in a hurry, and it was only afterwards that I thought, I forgot to clean the silicone off, they're going to be ruined. Except they weren't. So after one coat they looked fine, after two coats they looked fine, after 3 or 4 coats they still looked fine, and I hadn't cleaned the silicone off. And that got me to thinking, I wonder if there's an easy way to deal with this. I wonder if sprays are different to brush-on products and resin. So always looking for the easy way out and the least amount of work possible. What I'm going to do today is a side-by-side test with 4 tiles. These are 4 tiles that I did in an earlier video. They've all been painted with the same paints, with a flip cup, with silicone oil in all of the colours. And what I want to do is see if I can apply a coat of resin to these tiles without cleaning off the silicone. So let me go through in each case what I've done. This is the first tile. This is painted exactly as described, Floetrol, silicone, and then I have cleaned off the surface of this tile in my usual way. So I've used talc, I've used like a powder, a baby powder, rubbed it all in very, very carefully, brushed it off, and then cleaned it up with a wet wipe. And it doesn't look shiny on the surface, so it looks pretty good. So this one has the silicone cleaned off. This one here looks pretty good, looks kind of glossy. This one has had 2 coats of the Duplicolor acrylic enamel clear coat. Oh goodness, my cat has found his ping pong ball. We could be in for all sorts of trouble. So this one's had 2 coats of the clear coat on it, and the clear coat doesn't appear to have separated. Everything looks good, but the silicone was not cleaned off of this tile. This third one, the nice green one, again it looks very, very glossy. This one was treated with 2 coats of the Minwax Clear Aerosol Lacquer. So this has had 2 coats of the lacquer, but again the silicone was not cleaned off of that one prior. This last one looks the glossiest actually and nicest of them all. This one was again not cleaned, silicone oil on it exactly the same as I'd flipped it. But what I did was I took a little bit of the Liquitex pouring medium, just the straightforward pouring medium. I poured a little bit on, just spread it all around with my fingers and left it to dry. So we've got 1 which is cleaned, 3 which are uncleaned but treated with some kind of sealer. And what I thought, rather than use a brush-on varnish, I'm going to use resin, because I know resin is so finicky that if there's the slightest hint of any oil on any of these, the resin is going to show us. So I'm going to mix up some resin, put them on these tiles, and we'll see what happens. So I have my resin mixed, I've got my gloves on, and I'm all ready to go. So I'm thinking that there's probably a very, very slight chance maybe of cross-contamination. So what I'm going to do is work from this direction to this one. This is the one that should be cleaned, so we will see what happens anyway. So the first one I'm going to do is the Liquitex. Again, it's the kind of thing you don't need to watch me do it. You've seen me put resin on tiles before. So I'm going to just coat all of these with a similar coat of resin, and we will see what happens with them all. On there, on there. Oh, that one had a bit more. A bit more on these 2. And then I'm just going to spread them about with my fingers and coat the surface of the tile. Again, you know, I'm not too stressed today with getting a perfect finish, making sure the sides are done or anything like that. It really is just a test today to see what is going to happen with the silicone on these tiles, and whether the sealers I've added is going to make any difference, or whether we will still get any kind of pitting. So let's see, this is the one with the Liquitex. I'm quickly just going over the surface, dragging it over the sides, making sure everything looks covered. So far so good with the Liquitex. Oh, I've made dribbles there on the cup. If I don't get those off, the towel will stick to the cup. So that's our first one. What was this second one? This was, I've got it written underneath, this was the clear lacquer. So again, I'm just going to spread it out with my finger over the tile and we will see what happens. So I'm going to carry on with this one, do the other two, and then I'll meet you back here and we will have a look right away and see whether any of them are starting to separate. Okay, so my resin is done on all the tiles, and let's bring the camera down now so you can see the details and see which, if any of these, have got the resin pitting in it. Okay, so this first one is the one that has the Liquitex pouring medium added onto it. So the tile was dried, then some Liquitex was added over the top and allowed to dry, and then resin on the top. And it looks pretty good. There's one area, you see it just there as it catches the light. Just a little bit on the edge just there where the resin hasn't caught, but the rest of it looks good so far. This second one, this was the clear lacquer, and you can see there's plenty of areas there where the resin has pulled away, right on the edges, some big spots here and here and another one there. So clearly using that clear lacquer hasn't worked to seal the oil away from the resin. This one here is the clear coat, and again exactly the same really. If I look carefully in the light, I think you can see the surface of the resin is all pitted and pulled away, and yes, adding the clear coat has not made any difference at all. The resin's still dreadful. And then this one here on the end, I can just show in the light, I think it looks good. Oh, there's one little bit. Oh, there's a couple of little bits. So this is the one where I had carefully cleaned my tile, and I think you can see there's a piece just here and one just here, where even though I try to clean it as best I can, I've still got some pitting in my resin. So I think we can say that it's interesting. It certainly hasn't given me the whole lazy girl approach that I was looking for, that by using a spray sealer, first of all, I'll be able to get away with using resin on a painting or a tile without cleaning off the silicone. But it does show that even when I try, I'm still not perfect, because there's a couple of little spots on this tile. This is the one where I had cleaned it as carefully as I could, and I've still got a couple of little spots even there where the resin hasn't stuck on there properly. So I think it's been an interesting experiment and I've enjoyed doing it. I'm always looking for some little tips and tricks and some easy ways to get things done. I've not really proved anything with this one, except it doesn't work and there really is no substitute to cleaning off your tile properly. Thanks very much for watching. I hope to see you on the channel again for some more crazy experiments one day soon.